Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two American blended whiskeys, both at 80 proof, 40% alcohol, from the Sazerac Company with no website listing. So if you look on Sazerac.com, you'll never know these exist. Okay, but I know who makes it. Anyway, they don't use the Sazerac name. Like this one says Classic Club from IWA Distilling, but you can look up IWA Distilling is registered with the U.S. government as a what they call an assumed name of Buffalo Trace Sazerac Company. Okay, I think Buffalo Trace and the Sazerac Company is sort of like both the legal name of them. Okay, it's hard to figure out which is the actual official name, but everybody says Sazerac owns Buffalo Trace. So that's what we'll go with. It's the same company. It's owned by the same man and his wife, William Goldring, Mr. and Mrs. William Goldring. All right. But that one's under the IWA Distilling moniker. And I bought this at Total Wine and More. This one is Gran Legacy American Blend. And it was introduced in 2006. It's got a crown, copper pot still, which makes little sense with it. But anyway, it's a blended whiskey with natural flavors. And they both say American blend. They don't say Kentucky because even though they're bottled in Kentucky, the whiskeys in these blends could be from anywhere in the U.S. They have auctions for whiskey and they buy and sell and trade and use whatever they can or want to in their blends. Let's see, what's the statement on here? If it uses grain spirits, it's required to list the percentage of grain, unaged grain spirits. I'm not seeing that. Okay, so no blend ratio statement, which means it's all pure whiskey aged at least 4 years. I didn't say it was good whiskey. I said pure whiskey. Okay, so no age statement or blend ratio statement. And I can back that up because the U.S. government regulations are very clear. I'm going to turn the lamp on. I don't even bother to open. I'm not even bothering to open that curtain because it's still dark. It's dawn on the title, but it's not real. Okay, so this one is American blended whiskey. It doesn't say anything about natural flavors added. Okay, so Sazerac, there you could say some negative things about Sazerac. Okay, I do from time to time. But one thing they're good about is if they add flavoring, they'll say it right on the bottle. They don't try to hide it. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about caramel color, though. And they're pretty good about disclosing that, too. They'll just say, well, caramel color. Simple as that. And you're not required to disclose it at all. Let's keep that in mind. With a blended whiskey or a blend of straight bourbons, that's a category, too. A class or a type of the class is whiskey. The type is a blend of straight bourbons. That's another. We're doing American whiskey, a blend today, or blended American whiskey. There's two names for the same type. You can add flavoring, you can add coloring, and you do not have to disclose it. But what I've noticed with Sazerac, so what I'm trying to say is they're pretty good at disclosing it. Okay, you must disclose the blend ratio if you use an unaged grain spirits. Can you use unaged grain spirits? Certainly, up to 80%. No problem, but you got to say, yeah, 80% grain neutral spirits. So this one has the disclosure as required by law, the law. Classic Club, age 3 years, 80 to 20 blend ratio. Or 4 to 1. That's another way you could state it. 4 parts grain spirits, 1 part straight whiskey, most likely bourbon. Doesn't have to be bourbon. So for every ounce of bourbon, straight bourbon, let's say there's straight bourbon in there, you'll have 4 ounces of grain neutral spirits. So they're neutral. They're supposed to be neutral. No aroma, no flavor, no color. Similar to vodka, but not the same thing as vodka, as many people erroneously state when they're trying to really put down the product. Which is fine if you want to put down the product. I don't care if you put down a product, just be accurate in what you're saying. But they'll call Canadian blended whiskey and American blended whiskey brown vodka. Well, they don't contain any vodka. So, so just that's a mistake. No, I mean, anyway, they're part of the same class now. Vodka and neutral grain spirits are part of a class called grain spirits. No, it's called neutral spirits. Neutral. And if you think I'm wrong, you can challenge me and come on air and we'll have the debate. But I wouldn't recommend that. Okay. So these are similar, but they're not the same. One is pure whiskey, no grain spirits added. Got flavoring added, and it's at least 4 years old. And it was cheap. It was $10.99 when I bought it. Now they don't even sell it anymore. I think it used to be made for CVS Pharmacy. It was one of their private labels, or if you want to call it a store brand. But they used to have a lot, and then they had less and less. And then eventually I would go to CVS and they only had the vodka, Gran Legacy vodka, the red label, and that's even gone. So I think what happened was maybe they weren't satisfied with the sales and they just dumped it and said, well, anybody could sell it. They probably told the distributor, just auction it off. Whoever wants to, let them have it. Let them have it. And they did. And I've seen this at Star Liquor Store in Kenner, Louisiana. And they had a bottle of Gran Legacy Canadian. And I asked the guy, I said, what's the price on that? And he said, $10.99. I said, oh, okay. I was just curious because he didn't have a tag. And I went to put it back. And he said, hey, boss, you want to buy it? I said, no, I wasn't looking to buy it. I was just checking the price. He said, well, I'll sell it to you for $8.99 a handle, Canadian whiskey, $8.99. I said, well, for that deal, all right, you got me. I'll take it. But so this is, I'm pretty sure it's out of production unless, since they released it to the general wholesale market, they might have kept making, they might still make it, just that anybody can buy. So that could be the case, I doubt it, but it could be. Classic Club's definitely still in production. They got bottles at Total Wine & More right to date when they open. It keeps saying aged in oak, barrel matured, aged in oak. Well, yeah, it's whiskey, so that's the law. All whiskey has to be aged in oak, and it has to be in barrels. So that's sort of a meaningless statement, but I guess it sounds good on the bottle. Like this one's aged in oak, as opposed to other whiskeys which are aged in oak. So, yeah, very simplistic bottle design. It says Semper Delectamentum, which I think means always delectable. Sure. Aged and mellowed in oak barrels. It's filtered, probably chill filtered, but it's clear. Now, as I get lower in the bottle, it'll start getting some sediment in it. Sazerac, I noticed Sazerac whiskeys, Buffalo Trace whiskeys, the lower you get in the bottle, the more gunk starts to show up. Don't know why that is. I guess settling. It starts to become unfiltered or something. I don't know. All right, so they're both basic, very basic looking labels, as you can see. Can't say they're bad looking, but they're definitely not elaborate. You say look like store brand whiskeys. Yeah, they do, don't they? But I have no evidence whatsoever. There's no indication that Classic Club is a Total Wine & More only brand. It might be, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it at other stores. Like I know I saw it at Broadway Liquor in New Orleans, Louisiana, on Broadway Avenue. It just probably is a situation where Total Wine buys it because it's not popular and they can get it cheap. It's like a brand that doesn't move, and then they can upcharge it to $15.99, which is what it's going for now. And I paid $13.99 when I got it right at the beginning of the JB inflation. So I caught it right at the right time because now it's $2 more per bottle. But I did pay $13.99. I mean, heck, in 2020, during the height of the scamdemic, it was really getting going during the scamdemic. They had Bay Street Spirits at Total Wine and More for $10.99 from Florida, but I only saw it for a couple of months and never saw it again. You say Florida whiskey made in Florida? Yeah, it's made in Florida, believe it or not. Okay, not bad either. Not great, but it's basic. All right, basic, okay. And I remember back in those days, 2020 and 2021, all the employees at Total Wine had to walk around like in a hazmat suit, and you could tell they were miserable. And I would just walk in there like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, they make you wear all that? And they would walk away. They couldn't say, they knew if they would say anything, they'd probably get axed, probably real totalitarian type employment experience over there. So that's my impression I get. I could be wrong. Could be real laid back, but I get the feeling it's not real laid back at all, that it's like highly intense. You got to go to these meetings all the time, team meetings. You got to do team building exercises, which really are depressing and probably hurt morale overall. But they used to make us do that when we were teaching high school. I said, man, if I retire from high school, I never want to go to another meeting, But luckily, the last 5 years working over there, the principal hated meetings. She just hated meetings. So she would have to do them. They had to do it once a month, faculty meeting. But she would go fast. She'd be like, she'd tell people, ask me after the meeting. She don't want to hear some teacher with some long drawn out question about their own personal, because you have that a lot at these meetings. Somebody will bring up a topic that only applies to them, like it's some personal topic that really has nothing to do with anybody else at the meeting. And it go on and on and on, like 20 minutes talking about this and arguing. But she knew that, and she was peremptory, and she would just say, no, talk to me after the meeting. She wanted to fly through it, cover every topic, go fast, and have no one dissent or argue with her. And that was fine with me because I just wanted to get out of there. I'd get a lot of reading done though. Like I bring my books that I was reading and read. All right, but that was my impression of Total Wine and More. That they were like real intense on that, and they're friendly enough. I mean, that's their training. They got to be, but it's fine. But I'd just be like, man, I'm glad I don't have to go to that. All right, because where I work, there's no meetings really. They might tell you something like, don't do that again. What's wrong with you? But they don't say, okay, guys, let's have a meeting. We're going to do some team building. Oh, no. Good morning, Mr. T. Jean-Pierre says, good morning to you. I watched your Taiwan beer. I'm sorry you gave it a D, but you got to call it as you see it. He didn't like it too much, but I liked it a lot. But, different flavors for different peoples. It's all about the team. Yeah. I mean, I believe in teamwork, but you know what I'm talking about, these meetings, man. They're just, I want to quit the team. Okay. Enough of that. Let's see how this works. Now, the appearance is basically the same on these two, amber or tan, if you want to call it tan. It's kind of like tan. They get a Crayola and it says tan, light brown. That's what it is. Okay. Aroma. Al Capone talked about the team in Untouchables. Yeah, total fantasy movie, but I remember because he was trying to talk about his enthusiasms. I got a lot of enthusiasms, with the baseball bat. Keep in mind, none of that in that movie ever happened. It's like a fantasy version of reality. It was a popular movie with Kevin Costner. Um, like I got a friend at work, and he watched that Queen movie with about Freddie Mercury, and he thinks all that's like the history of the band, and I'm like, no, it's just a movie. It's fiction. It's based on reality. Because he's like, that guy told everybody he had AIDS, and he had to persevere through and do that Live Aid concert. I said, it's not true. That's not even with the timeline. Doesn't match the timeline that I know about. But I'm tired of arguing with him. I know a lot of people like that. If they watch a movie, they think it's true. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I don't know if they think Godzilla is true, but they think any movie based on history is the way it happened. This smells nutty, like pecans, walnuts. Oh, and when I did my bourbon taste challenges with the Jim Beam 8-year, I checked my score. I got 14 correct and 4 wrong. So I got it 14 right 14 times and wrong 4 times. That's not too bad. 14 out of 18 challenges, especially with that whiskey not really standing out so much. Good stuff, but not really remarkable. Man, this has a strong nutty aroma. I'm telling you. I smell like pecan shells or something. Which, if you never had pecans, is hard to describe. But if you ever taste or smell a pecan, you'll never get it confused with another kind of nut, kind of like walnuts, like or almonds. Like they're distinct. This one, yeah, it has some nuttiness, and I think I'm talking about pecan shell and all. I think that's coming from the oak barrel. Now, remember, one of them is aged only but 3 years, and this one is at least 4. This one is 80% grain spirits, if you want to call it filler. It's unaged. They're taking what becomes whiskey, but they don't let it become whiskey by virtue of age, and they put it in there raw. You can actually buy that at the store, but it's 190 proof. But you can buy it. All right. This one is pure whiskey. There's no grain spirits added. And it's aged at least 4 years, but it's tweaked with natural flavoring. That's probably because those straight whiskeys are, let's say, not the best ones. In other words, rejects from various distilleries that were saying, ain't no way that's going in an Old Forester bottle. Ain't no way that's going in an Old Charter bottle. You know what I mean? So let the bums have, you hate to say it like that, because I don't think the companies really speak like that behind closed doors, but maybe they do. All right. Taste time. Cheers. But see, it couldn't be straight whiskey because it's probably coming from all sorts of states. See the problem there? If it comes from Indiana and Kentucky and Tennessee and they blend it together, it cannot be straight whiskey, never. Even if it follows all the other guidelines, because straight whiskey must be produced in the same state. Not at the same distillery, same state. I didn't make the rule, that's the rule. Okay. So automatically, it would not be straight whiskey anymore. And beside the fact they're adding coloring, not coloring, sorry, they're adding flavoring, so that would definitely disqualify it. See, that one tastes like the corn husks. It's hard to say why, but it's just like corn husks, like corn, but sweet corn, a little vanilla, but the husks, like there's like a papery grass. You know what a husk is on a corn. I don't have to describe that. That's why people shuck corn to get the husks off. But it has that. That's strange, isn't it? This one has all that, but maybe a little more vanilla. Oh, these are close. So you think, oh, there's so many differences between the two. They should be identical. I mean, they should be, what am I saying? I'm talking backwards. They should be discernible, being able to tell one from another. But that isn't really the case. Would these be worth buying? Well, yes and no. Yes, if you're not too picky and you just want to see what is a really cheap whiskey like. You know what I'm saying? Like $10.99 a bottle. That's what I paid for that. And $13.99. Now remember the prices have gone up, but you say, I just want to see, Yeah. Now you can't put your expectations up like, well, I usually drink Blanton's single barrel. Let me try these and see how they compare. Look, they're never going to compare. It's going to be totally bad. It'd be like saying I'm going to go watch a high school football game and see how this compares to the NFL. Well, you probably walk out. You say that the level of play is so poor. Yeah, because it's high school kids that many of them have never played. I mean, you might have some all-stars on the team, state all-star, but a lot of these guys, they they're just out there playing, walk on, well, they're all walk-ons in high school, but you know what I'm saying, like just not talented. All right, so I think we got the picture here. So these two whiskeys are not talented if they were an athlete. Yeah, so they're basically as basic as you can get. Like there's nothing so more basic, but you could try them. They have some good flavors. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they're nasty, terrible, like some people do with their little fake videos. And they're like, ooh, ooh, and they're all dramatic, talking about, oh, they're going to gag. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm going to dump it out. I'm going to dump it out. I'm like, no, look, there's no way it's bad enough to dump out. And you're just doing this for your channel or for some effect or whatever. These are not drain pours. They're just basic. Okay. So people need to cut all that out. If you're going to do all that, don't even review them. Okay. I mean, and usually people that's only reviewing the top tier stuff. So I know how their game plan. I know how they operate. They only do the top tier stuff. Like $70, $80, $90 a bottle, $100 a bottle. But then they'll do one of these kind of products. And there's no purpose in it. And then it's all a game. They're laughing, ha, 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 and making little jokes, and it's supposed to be funny. And then they get all dramatic, how they choking it down, and I say, I could see through this, Why don't you just stay with the $90, $100, $120 bottles and do your channel? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not taking issue with that. I'm saying I call them little fake pretend videos. When are you going to do some more cheap lagers again? You put larger lagers. Oh, I don't know. When I find some more, everything I see is all about all the same old stuff. All right, so can I tell one from the other? Yeah, I think this one is the Classic Club. It's a little more grain husky. And I got it right. So the flavoring does seem to help the product. Maybe cut through the little not so greatness of it. So if I had a choice, I guess I'll get the Gran Legacy, but it looks like Gran Legacy is going bye-bye, so I'm not going to have the choice. All right, I'm going bye-bye now, so y'all take care. Have a nice Thursday, and I'll see you later.